I had my own office. My girlfriend and I do not have, my own office space or anything like that. But maybe I might feel differently. I watched, a documentary about Stephen King, and he has this humongous office just filled with books and all this cool stuff. And I'm like, that would be cool to have. I think everybody would want that. But, I have to make do with what I have. So I have my little laptop, and I sit on the couch. I was writing today. My girlfriend was baking. And I was just hammering away, and I finished the story that I started for the next book, so I was happy to put that one to bed. And I went back and I added some stuff to the novella that's in the second book, and that one's coming along nicely, coming to a close with that one as well. But I don't have like a specific process where I'm like, oh, I got to do at least 12 pages a day. Like that just doesn't. You can't limit yourself. If you write one sentence a day, then that's fine. But I'm more about the learning process of writing. Like Bret Easton Ellis used to say, like, to be a good writer and to write good dialogue, you need to listen to how people speak. So
yes,
for me, it's about eavesdropping on people and really paying attention to how people react to one another. And we're entering this weird phase of society where people have these strange interactions with each other because sociological cues and social cues in general are kind of degrading to the point where they're almost non-existent. So seeing people interact with each other is especially interesting now, and really, really helps form characters that are a little bit different and a little strange, because I feel like watching individuals interact with each other, nobody can do it anymore. And, as a teacher, you see it every day. Like, kids just cannot speak to each other.
It's all emojis, LOLs.
It's bad, and it's a lot of Fortune 500 companies are putting a lot of money into education in an effort to develop programs that get kids able to speak. Because they're getting kids out of college who have never done a presentation in front of a group of people. They've never worked with a group of people on a project. They've never done public speaking. They're totally useless in a business setting for the kids that they're getting. So being able to see that and seeing it, even just something as simple as going to a restaurant and watching, adults as well as kids and whoever else just not able to interact with each other really informs one's writing, especially for the thing that I'm working on now, just because it's a lot more critical of society and things in society than the first book, for sure.
I feel you. You see it be one of those homes where people drop their cell phones in a basket when they walk in. Might have to come to that sometimes,
I think that's a very positive thing. I don't have a TV in the bedroom. If I didn't have to have my phone in here for the alarm clock, I wouldn't have that either. So I hate it, man. I hate it. It's meant to bring us together, and all it's done is driven us apart.
Yeah, more so. People could be bullies on it. It's that kind of stuff, but that's just... I know. But when we were young, we actually had to talk to each other.
Right, we had to pick up a phone and call our friends.
An actual phone.
God, the good old days.
Yeah. I mean, I dragged you had the kids bring tablets or phones with them now, but I'd bring my sketch pad and draw. And it became a conversation thing, though. People like, wow, you drew that? Yeah. I'm like, well, let me see. Let me show it to her. Let me show it to him. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess we're doing this.
That's awesome.
We were more engaging.
You still do that now.
And, your parents would take you, we'd go to parties with their adult friends, and they'd have their kids, and we'd interact. But even the adults would, interact with us, too. They wouldn't just like, the kids are there, but they'd talk with us and be interested in us. It's like, now everyone's glued to their phone. But anyway, they got to channel their inner artist and maybe write something, just like you did.
And and that's another problem too. Like, parents would rather give their kids an iPad just to shut them up, like just watch YouTube or do whatever. And it's like, well, now you know why they can't speak to anybody, and now you know why they seem to be disrespectful to you, because they're raised by the iPad or the TV or whatever, and then you are disconnecting yourself by playing with your phone and ignoring your kids or whatever. It's an ugly cycle.
It is crazy. Getting back to your writing, writer's block. How do you get through it?
I had the past couple days. I just had no interest whatsoever in writing, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and I've always had like a ridiculous amount of stories in my head and stuff like that, and so coming up with material has never been a problem. But like past few days I've just been not feeling it, and then finally today I broke through a little bit, and I was like, okay, I just got to force myself a little bit. But once it gets cooking, it's cooking. So even just writing a little bit or going back and reading what I've written will help the juices flowing. That's what I've always found.
Sometimes you just got to step away.
Yeah. And I was talking about it with my therapist and saying, like, I'm totally useless right now with the writing. I feel paralyzed. I can't. And it's like one of my favorite therapeutic activities is writing. And he's just like, look, you finish an entire book, man. Like, there's going to be days where you just don't feel like doing anything. He's like, it's hard to get motivated 100% of the time. So you'll come back to it. And I was like, all right, well, you're right. And he was right. You ever do the morning pages? No, I don't even know what that is.
All right. That's from the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And what she recommends in the book is every morning, first thing you do is write 3 pages of anything. It could not be connected to anything. It could just be, writing, I don't know what to write, over and over again. But it's just getting those 3 pages, because when you wake up, you may have all this stuff in your head from dreaming or whatever. And getting that out on a page anyway declutters your mind and opens it up for other creativity. Highly recommend
I like
it.
That.
Check out the book too. It's really chock full of it's really for an artist to just focus and get their mindset. And I read it like 20 years ago and did some of the stuff, but I don't think I ever finished the book, and now I don't know where it is. But it'd be very interesting to revisit it now as a 49-year-old dude.
As an artist, yeah.
Yes, that matters. But yeah.
I read the most valuable book, I guess, or anything really that I ever read or learned was in Stephen King's On Writing, where he talks about the idea of, sometimes the thing that you love the most is the thing that you have to get rid of. It's the kill your darlings idea of you may love something, but if it does a disservice to the overall story, then it has to go. Like, even if you love it, you have to let it go. So that I thought was incredibly helpful and interesting. So that's like always in the back of my head. I'm like, all right, like I mentioned before, with having to take some things out that I wanted to throw in. It's like I was like, all right, kill your darlings. It's fine.
Well, you have, I'm guessing Stephen King is an influence. Who else?
It's weird. I love horror, and I read a lot of horror, and I write horror and stuff like that. But my biggest influence, like my hero, my literary god, is Bret Easton Ellis, the author of American Psycho, which I love. It's a book I love, but it's not my favorite of his. His first novel, Less Than Zero, is still that knocks my socks off. I've read it probably a dozen times, and every time I read it, I'm just like, I just feel like my heart tightening every time I read it. It kills me. But Bret Easton Ellis, Jay McInerney, who I love, he's a Long Island guy, but he's friends with Bret Easton Ellis, so they're very similar. He wrote Bright Lights, Big City.
Oh, wow.
Chad Kultgen, I really love. He wrote The Average American Male. Alex Garland, who wrote The Beach. A lot of people. Stephen King.
Comic book writers?
I'm sorry? Oh, comic book writers? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I cracked my knuckles there to get ready for it and everything. My favorite comic book writers, probably, I love Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis. I adore Booster Gold. Booster Gold is he's like if they turned me into a superhero, but I'm nowhere near as good looking or in as good a shape. I adore that character. I love Justice League International so much. Like, kills me. And Kevin McGuire, I love his artwork. But
Yeah.
Giffen, DeMatteis, Dan Jurgens.
Mm-hmm.
I like Dan Jurgens. That's kind of a controversial thing to say. I love Jeff Johns.
Yes.
Scott Snyder, Long Island guy. Nothing but love. I've met him half a dozen times at our local comic book store, and he is the nicest, most down-to-earth guy. And it's like, dude, you're the finest Batman writer in decades, and you're the nicest guy on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me think who else. I'm a Watchmen guy.
Mm.
I have to say Alan Moore. His spiritual beliefs I buy into a little bit. I'm like, you're a weird dude. I like that. I like what you're doing, Alan Moore. Frank Miller.
Mm.
A lot of legends. You can't not say Stan Lee,
Of course.
right? Kirby. Got to say Jack Kirby, father of the Fourth World.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
and
can I say Tom King also?
Mm-hmm.
Can I throw Tom King in there? All right.
Why not?
I just gave you like an avalanche of names and stuff.
Oh yeah, they didn't. Sometimes they don't get credit, but man, and just from my personal point of view, Jeff Johns blew me away with Flash and JSA. I'm like, damn, especially with JSA, because not to get sidetracked, but each character had their own voice. You knew that Jay Garrick was this kind of person, and Mr. Terrific, and Power Girl, and Star Spangled Kid. And like, how on earth he's got everyone unique? In some comics, everybody sounds the same, and he made them all unique. Like, what?
That's what blew me away with 52 when they did that whole the original 52 thing. Every character felt so real, and the best part about it is they weren't allowed to fall back on Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman to come in and save the day. It was like, no, we have to save our own world, and it's the elongated man. It's like it just Jeff Johns and this team of writers put something so perfect like that together. I tried to get my girlfriend to read it. Like, please read 52. I have all the volumes here, and she's like, volumes of comic books? You got to be kidding me. And I was like, please. But oh god, 52, and just Jeff Johns in general, and he gets a bad rap now, which is it's kind of frustrating to see. But his work on, are you reading Doomsday Clock? The sequel to Watchmen?
I feel really, really bad, but I haven't read any new comics in over a decade. It's terrible.
Oh my god!
I know, I'm way behind.
His work on Doomsday Clock is something to write home about. It's incredible, and I'm not like in the minority, I think, with saying that, but he's getting a bum rap on it. Like, DC is not giving him the love he deserves.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you have this anthology of books. Now, what are your steps on getting this baby published?
I didn't want to go the traditional publishing route. I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't feel like I was emotionally ready to send anything to a publishing company, whether it was a big publishing company or a small publishing company. I just felt like emotionally, and I was too fragile to get so much rejection from anything like that. So what I wanted to do is kind of explore getting the individual stories published first. And I've got a few that are going to be coming out in the months to come. A couple stories have been accepted for publication elsewhere, but those will be in the second anthology that I'm working on. But I really wanted to take the self-publishing route, because everything they say in publishing now is do a few books, self-publish a few books, build an audience, and then try to get a book published by a major publisher or like even a small publisher, whatever, because you bring an audience into it so they know they're going to make money, and it allows you to find your voice a little bit in a less stressful environment. So that's what I did with this. And having to do everything myself, like from like social media and marketing and stuff, like I'm not that guy. Like I know how to do social media, but like I'm not good at being like, hey, this is my press release, blah, 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 blah. Let's talk. I'm very lucky that like I'm getting to do your show, and I have like another one lined up to do as well. But
nice.
It's cool to just talk about it. And like I'm trying to do some readings here on Long Island. I joined the Horror Writers Association.